It's not weird that you would go. It's almost like you were preparing yourself for what you would have to deal with.
Well, I told you I didn't have such a connection to Earth at a young age.
I know, but you don't find that as like you were preparing yourself for what you were going to have to deal with.
But that we're all going to have to deal with.
That's true. Point. All right. Very good. That's a solid point, Lauren.
You know what I mean?
Solid
it's
point.
not just me. Like, we
You're
all
right.
have to go through it.
This is the point of this conversation.
Right?
Yes. Sorry. Like, I forgot. Even I forget sometimes. This is going to happen to every single human.
It is.
But why were you so aware of that, and what even sent you there? You just
I am a little bit of a fanatic about truth. So if it's something, I love truth.
Lauren London's name started trending, and immediately the blogs ran with it. New husband, moving on. Lauren London finally ready for love again, and the internet did what it always does. Took a headline, filled in the blanks, and ran before checking whether any of it was actually true. Here is the truth. As of right now, there is no confirmed report of Lauren London being married. No announcement, no man. What there is a woman who has been quietly, consistently, and powerfully honoring a love that most people will never fully understand, and a culture that still cannot seem to accept that she means it. To understand why this conversation keeps coming up, you have to understand what Lauren London has actually been carrying for the past 8 years. She is an actress. ATL in 2006 made her a star. She has been working steadily ever since. But for the better part of a decade, what defined her publicly was her relationship with Nipsey Hussle. They started dating in 2013, and what people could see from the outside was something different from the typical Hollywood pairing. This was not built on publicity or red carpet strategy. It was rooted, spiritually connected, and genuine in a way that was rare to witness publicly. Together, they had a son, Cross Asghedom, born in 2016. Lauren also has a son named Cameron from her previous relationship with Lil Wayne. So when Nipsey died, she was not just losing her partner, she was losing her children's father figure. She was losing the man helping her raise her family. March 31st, 2019 is the date that split her life into before and after. Nipsey Hussle, born Ermias Asghedom, raised in the Crenshaw district of South LA, was standing outside his own Marathon clothing store on Slauson Avenue that Sunday afternoon. He was doing what he always did, being present in the community he had built his entire brand around. Eric Holder, a man who knew him, showed up and opened fire. Nipsey was shot 10 times. He was pronounced dead that evening at 33 years old. The grief that followed was immediate, massive, and global. Beyoncé, Rihanna, Drake, Barack Obama, the tributes came from everywhere. Over 20,000 people showed up to his public memorial. And somewhere in the middle of all of that, Lauren London was completely shattered. Her statement after his death was 3 words: "I am completely lost." No PR management, no long speech, just raw, honest truth. And those 3 words said everything that needed to be said. What she did in the years that followed is what this story is actually about. Every year on March 31st, without fail, she shows up for his memory. In 2024, on the 5th anniversary, she wrote that if you know her, you know March is always tough. She described it as 31 days of holding her breath, an entire month where she is bracing herself for the weight of that one date. She told People magazine in 2023 that she does not want to give the misconception that she is at peace and walking around on a cloud. She said there are days she does not want to get up, days she is angry, and she called that honesty, because that is what real healing actually looks like. Not a straight line, not a performance, not a clean resolution, just the truth of what it is. Then in 2022, she sat down with Angie Martinez on the In Real Life podcast, and Angie asked the question the whole internet had been waiting for. What about love? What about moving on? Is there room for another relationship? Lauren London looked her in the eye and said no. Not maybe. Not someday. No. She said she thinks many relationships are ego-driven and not pure. She said she was in a death of the ego space and could not understand why she would take herself in that vulnerable state back into her ego. She asked why needing another person meant she was complete. She asked why the absence of a new relationship meant she was not on purpose. And then she said something that stopped people in their tracks. She said she had a pure love, past tense, complete. Not something to chase or replace, something to be honored. That was 2022. By 2025, the conversation she was having publicly had shifted from grief into something she described as a journey of self-love. and what she said about it was striking because of how honest it was. She said she has never really functioned in self-love, never fully functioned in self-acceptance, and that this is her time to learn what that actually feels like. She said she needs to learn who she is outside of her trauma, from childhood trauma and then the adult trauma of losing Nipsey, and what it feels like to be in sovereignty with herself. Sovereignty. That word matters. It means wholeness, ownership of yourself, being complete from the inside rather than looking for completion from somewhere else. That is not a woman searching for a new husband. That is a woman doing the hardest work there is. And while she has been doing that internal work, she has also been building externally in Nipsey's name. She launched a Puma clothing line inspired by him. She has been involved in keeping the Marathon clothing brand alive. She has spoken publicly about grief and mental health in ways that have helped thousands of people navigating their own losses. She appeared on the A Really Good Cry podcast in 2024, talking about faith and vulnerability as tools for surviving grief. The community work, the foundation, the legacy maintenance. She has been present in all of it, consistently and quietly. So why does the internet keep generating these rumors? Why does Lauren London's name trend every few months with some variation of the same story? Moving on, new man, ready for love again. The honest answer is that the culture has a grief expiration date that it applies to women specifically. There is an unspoken rule that says you grieve, you heal, you find somebody new, and that arc should take a reasonable amount of time, maybe a year or two before people start asking. And when a woman refuses to follow that arc, when she says clearly and on record that she is not interested in replacing what she had, the culture does not quite know what to do with that. So it invents a story that fits the expected pattern, even when the actual woman is telling you something completely different. Lauren London has been telling you something completely different for 8 years. She has said it in interviews, in anniversary posts, in magazine features, in podcast appearances. She has been consistent in a way that is almost unusual for someone under this much public scrutiny. And still, every few months, a new rumor cycle starts, because the culture needs her to be on a different timeline than the one she has chosen. Eric Holder was convicted of first-degree murder in July 2022 and sentenced to a minimum of 60 years. He is not coming home. Victory Lap is certified double platinum. Nipsey won 2 posthumous Grammy Awards in 2020. He received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in 2022. The original Marathon clothing store, the exact spot where he was killed, is being transformed into a community center focused on academics and music for the kids in that neighborhood. The place where they took his life is being turned into a place that builds the next generation. That is what his legacy looks like in practice, and Lauren London has been part of keeping every piece of it moving. What her story actually represents, beyond any rumor or trending topic, is something the culture talks about rarely and needs to hear more. Grief is not a problem to be solved. It does not have a finish line, and choosing to honor a love rather than replace it is not the same as being stuck. It is a decision, a considered, consistent, deeply personal decision that this woman has made and remade every single day for 8 years. The real Lauren London story is not about a new husband. It is about a woman who loved completely, lost devastatingly, and chose to keep going on her own terms, building, healing, honoring, and slowly learning for the first time what it means to belong to herself. That is the story the blogs are not telling. That is the one worth paying attention to. Drop a comment. Do you think the internet puts too much pressure on women to move on after loss? And do you think Lauren London's path deserves more respect than it gets?